Hi everyone, I'm sorry you could not join us today in class. However, I want you to take some time to watch this so you can get an idea and a sense of where we're going. So with the yearbook, it's not a matter of just collecting pictures, throwing them on a page, making it look pretty, and calling it a day. We are going to need to do a bit of writing, which means we need to get our skills to a point where we can very easily describe things, write on things, edit, and whatnot. So we're going to start practicing this by writing captions, right? So you're going to get an image every day. You might have a little history with it. You might not. You might have to do some research. Either way, you're going to need to write captions for it, and you'll get better over time. It's one of those things, the more that you do it, the better that you're going to get, and we'll be all right. So step one is, if you are taking the picture or if it's coming to you and you're looking at it, you need to investigate every picture, right? So you should be able to explain a picture. You should be able to report on it. If you didn't take it, you should be able and willing to do a little research to be able to understand either the focus of what you are looking at or what the viewer is looking at, or the reason perhaps why it was taken. So you should be able to do both things. So that's step one. Step two is you need to really investigate who is doing what in the picture, find out what was going on before and after to give you a better context, maybe find out where and why and when that particular photograph was taken, and then how does it represent other images or other events that were taking place, and like, why is this particular image special? Why is it meaningful? Step three, you need to set aside some time to talk to people in the photograph, if there are people in the photograph. If there aren't, set aside some time to talk to somebody else who's looking at it perhaps, and kind of get some ideas as to all of those things we just talked about. The whys, the reasons, the history, and the context, right? If you're talking to somebody that is in the picture, don't ask them for a quote. Don't say you want to interview them. Don't expect them to give you like the best story so that they basically write the caption for you. That's not their job. They're just giving you information. And with that information, you are going to craft a caption. Okay. Lastly, there are 4 parts that you want to think about with a caption. So the lead in. What if you have to describe a photograph, or if you are stating that it's something? You don't just want to say, this is Baltimore. It's not the most interesting way to describe something, right? So what is a creative way that you could introduce a city that you love and that maybe you're passionate about, or just a very busy city, or, you know, this is one of the smallest but busiest cities. It is the city of Baltimore. Something to grab a reader's attention that it's not just straight and dry. You want to be creative, right? Make sure that you're using either present or past tense, depending on the photograph. Is it an old photograph from the 1940s? You definitely would be using past tense. Is it a current photo of something that happened within the last year? Then you want to use the present tense, right? Make sure you quote your captions. So it is a start quote and an end quote for everything that you have. Really good question. Really good captions and quotes, especially for a yearbook. 3 to 4 sentences. Anything beyond that's just becoming a much larger description, and it's not just a snapshot of what it is that somebody is looking at, and it's that snapshot that you're putting in words. So these are things to think about. We talked a little bit more about this today. The other thing that we did is we went through and we looked at a picture of basketball players. So let me make my screen a little hair bigger. So let me move this over. So we looked at this particular image, right? And one of the things that we talked about in this is, what is happening? How would you describe what you're seeing, right? At first glance, it's a basketball game, right? You've got somebody trying to block. You have somebody trying to make the shot, right? You've got other people ready to, you know, if he misses, to be able to catch the ball. So how would you describe this? You wouldn't just say, these are 2 teams from Germany playing ball. Nobody wants to read that. It's not interesting. So what are the ways that you can be descriptive in what you're seeing? And if you don't know the context of things, lean into your photograph and figure out what you can say. So the gentleman who's reaching up with the ball, look at his shirt. Roma, right? So he's playing for the Roma team, RMA. He's number 6, right? He's got a nice outstretched arm. He's got some really good air under his feet. So how would you put those things into words? That's where you start writing captions. Not just it's a basketball game, but rather you can identify things in the picture. The gentleman with the black leggings on just underneath the ball, right? So he is playing for a German team. It looks like if you lean in, B-O-H-R. And I'm not entirely sure how to say that, but we could type that out. You know, he's ready to get it. He's ready to catch if it comes down. Or you could reference the gentleman, you know, behind him trying to knock the ball out of his hand. You know he plays for the B-O-H-R team because, and I don't know how to say that because it's German, because it's the same outfit, right? And so we can infer certain things from a picture. The other thing, too, that you might infer is that this is a practice game. Why would you infer that? Because over on the right, there's nobody in the stands, right? You got over on the left, you got a coach watching on the side, you got a couple people sitting just kind of hanging, but is this an active game? Like, okay, so maybe we want to do a little bit more research, or maybe we can do a little bit of inference. So these are things when you're looking at a photo that you really want to look at. Obviously, this is a indoor-outdoor stadium, and you can tell that if I were to move my face out of the way. Look at the ceiling, right? So you want to study pictures. Look at the ceiling. This is all retractable right here, okay? So we can talk about that, too, as to what is going on in the picture. So using a lot of those contexts, you should be able to get fairly creative in the caption that you write. And so these are some things that we talked about. We threw around some ideas. So what I would like you to do is make sure you look at the caption this drill and consider all of these points as to how to actually look at the photograph. And then you're going to start creating your own captions and getting used to being creative. If you have any questions, put on the stream, text me, email me.